Hello, I'm Dragon, and welcome to our next mod tool tutorial video. This time we're going to talk about projects. Projects are simple yet very effective tool to create permanent or temporary modifiers to your whole country. And also projects are used by AI. So this will be important later when we are going to set up AI settings. But for now, let me talk about our projects editor. Here, as you can see on the left, we have three lists of main category projects, subcategory projects, and three category projects. In the game, you are only going to see what is set up here in the three category. Subcategory and main category are just for organizational purposes. When creating projects, you are going to set them up for the whole mod. There is no distinction between countries here, but you can indeed create custom categories that will be visible only for certain countries or certain cultures. And here in this drop-down you can set up the access level. General projects are visible for all countries. Per country allows you to set up project categories for certain countries, like that. And also you can set up projects for civilizations. And you can choose from available civilizations here and add them to the civilization list. And now all projects in this main category and all subsequent projects, categories and specific projects are going to be visible only for the country which has this civilization as one of its accepted civilizations. So in this example, the Northman civilization. And here you can set up the new category name and description. So let me just type down economy projects. And you can also hide this category for various purposes. For example, you could want to have some categories hidden because you set up some basic starting projects for your countries and you do not want the player to know about them. Or you can also use an effect to show the hidden category when it is needed, for example, by spawning some kind of an event or using some kind of an action to reveal that category. And also, you can tick this important block only ticker here, and this one will make so that this main category of projects and all subsequent projects are available only for the block leader. So only countries that are in the block and are block leaders are going to be able to implement those projects. And block projects work a little bit differently from other projects, but I will explain it later when we are talking about specific projects. For now, let me set up category, subcategory, and three category for our projects so that we can start setting up specific projects. And of course, here you can choose the category icon for your projects from the list of available icons. And so, as you can see, I have created my economy projects main category, and it is per civilization, so only for the Northman civilization as set up in the civilization setup here. Those arrows allow you to move around your categories on the list, up and down. This button here allows you to edit what you have set up previously. And this button here allows you to delete this category. And bear in mind that when deleting main category, it will also delete everything that is in the subcategory or in the tree category. And while having your main category selected, I'm going to add new subcategory. And I'm going to call it, for example, infrastructure. And please note that if you have set up some kind of specific access level for your main category, in your subcategory, you are not going to be able to use this dropdown. If you choose the civilization or country access level, it will be inherited by all the subcategories and three categories underneath the main category. And so by clicking create, I am creating my new subcategory, and I have to now select it, and I can now set up my tree category. And to name my new tree category, I'm going to call it security. All right. And now, after selecting my tree category, I can use this canvas here. And this is our main projects canvas. And here we can set up new projects. How you set up your projects on this canvas is important because what you see here is what you get in the game. When creating Realpolitiks II, we have decided to set up our projects from left to right and keep them horizontally, so that we can add new project here, and if you move it around with your mouse button, left mouse button pressed, you can drop it here and it will snap to this white canvas here. And now I have my first project added to my canvas. And as you can see, after selecting it, here on the right, I have enabled all the project setup options. And now I'm going to tell you all about them. So first of all, there is, of course, project name key. Underneath, there is a shape node. You can change the shape of your hex. Hexes are standard shapes for our projects, and you can also choose circle or square. And you can also use this slider here to change its size. But I recommend to stick with hexes and the standard size because we are going to add some additional projects here, for example, like that. And if you want them to snap together and look good during the game, it is recommended to stick with hexes. And as you can see, by clicking right mouse button on the canvas and left clicking add project button, I have added new project to the canvas. And by moving it around, I can enable more indicators that will allow me to snap my projects. And when two projects are snapped together, they create a connection between them. And now, this police force project is the first project on my canvas and will be able to be implemented as the first project here. And the second project is connected with the first project. So when I implement my police force project, this second project will be available for implementation. And so on and so forth. And if you want to change something on your canvas, you can simply move away your project and click the red button here in the middle to delete the connection between projects. And it is very important, when adding new projects, avoid adding them behind existing projects. So for example, now I have this police force project here, my second project here, and if I would like to add a new project, I should put it above, below, or to the right. If I put it here, the connections will be a little bit wonky because now this third project will be connected as a child of the second project, but logically speaking, it should be the parent of the second project because we are implementing projects from the left to right. Let me for now delete these additional projects and focus on the one project here of the police force. And so, here we have project name and project description key. So let me type something in. Here, of course, you can choose your project icon. And underneath, you can also choose to hide your projects. And it works similarly to hiding the project categories. So if you want to have some projects hidden from the player, you can add them to the existing canvas and enable this ticker here. Underneath the hidden ticker, we have the implementation time input field, which is important because it is the number of days that are necessary to implement that project. And this number can be later modified by various effects. So for example, for our basic police force project, I'm going to use, let's say, 80 days. And underneath the implementation time, there is a very important ticker, allow abandon project. It is enabled by default, and it means that after implementing this project, I can cancel it, I can disable it, and it will become available for implementation later after the project cooldown timer. So for example, I can set up here cooldown of 60 days. And why is this important? Because I can also disable this ticker, and now after implementing this police force project, it will stay with the country forever. So if you want your projects to be temporary modifiers for your country, leave the allow abandon project ticker enabled. If you want them to be basically technologies that are developed once, implemented once, and stay with you forever, disable this ticker here. But I believe that police force is something that you can have, or you could simply decide to not have it. So I'm going to leave the allow abandon project ticker enabled with 60 days of project cooldown. And underneath we have our standard money, action points and resources cost of project implementation. And here to the left is the lump value, lump sum of the implementation cost. And here to the right is our scaled value. So for example, I can say that our money cost of police force project implementation is 1000. And here I can say that we will use our GDP as the scaled value. And so now the higher of those two values will be used in the game. So if our GDP is more than 1000, we will pay our GDP value in money to implement this police force project. If, however, our GDP is under 1000, we are going to pay 1000 each time. And of course, after implementation, projects can have their upkeep cost, their maintenance cost. And again, this cost is also in money, action points and resources. So for example, we can say that our upkeep for our police force is 10 money per month. Underneath here, you have the HDI level necessary to implement that project. Projects do not have conditions. There is no condition setup for projects, so HDI level is basically one of the requirements to implement the project. And our police force will require, for example, 15 HDI in our country. Another requirement for block projects only is leadership level, which is equal to the integration, the highest integration level of your block. But this is not a block project, so I'm going to leave this at 0. And another requirement for a project is the political parties agreement. And so here I can choose which parties agree to implement police force project and which parties agree after lobbying. So for example, if I disable this ticker for far right here and for far right here, now the far right party will never agree to implement the police force project, no matter if I lobby them or not. And underneath, on the bottom of our project setup column here to the right, there are 3 very important setup windows. Set required projects, which allows you to find all your projects that you have created in your mod, so all the projects on all canvases, and add them as required projects for this certain particular project. For example, you want to have 2 projects that are interconnected but are on different canvases in different categories. You can do it here by adding required projects to this list. Let me show you a quick example here. By creating this new category and adding new project here very fast. And now, as you can see, I have created the roads project in the transport category, and I have my police force project in the security category, 3 category. And I can set required projects here and go to my transport category and select our roads project and add it as a required project for police force. So in this case, I would need to first implement our roads project to be able to implement our police force project. And by adding a required project, this small hex is created, connected. You cannot disable this connection. It will always stay here attached to the police force project. You can also move it around with the project itself. And this simply indicates that this project here is required to implement the police force. And I can of course go here to the required projects and simply remove it. And after refreshing my canvas, it will be gone. And also, I can do a very similar thing by setting up blocking projects. And this basically means that implementing this project blocks implementation of other projects. Or rather, those other projects block implementation of this project. It basically works two ways. And as you can see, by adding the blocking project, I have not created additional smaller hex to indicate that. It will be visible on the project implementation pop-up during the game in the requirement section. But for now, I'm going to remove this blocking project from our police force. Because this is our standard basic project, I do not want to have any other requirements or blocking projects for it. The player should be able to implement it no matter what. And finally, on the bottom of our project setup, we have probably the most important button, Set Project Effects. And here you can find your familiar configurator of effects that allows you to set up any country effect for projects. And projects allow you to set up only country effects. And what is also important, projects that are ongoing should be set up only with the constant kind of effect, because that way, after disabling this project, this effect will go away. So for example, if I have my police force project, I can say that it increases my personal control target parameter by 2 points. And the kind of effect constant means that after implementing this project, my personal control target will be increased by 2, and after disabling this project, it will be reduced by 2. And so that is basically how you set up your projects. Now I can add simply another one and set up the details here. You can also copy your projects from one tree, create new tree, and press paste. And now all of those projects were copied from the security tree category to our copy tree category, but make sure that you attach them properly to one another, because only the projects are copied, not the connections between them. So you would need to actually manually connect them again. And also, as you can see, we have here our buttons to control the placement of our root. And the root slot for projects here is in the default position, so I do not recommend to move it around. But if you want, you can also move it with those buttons however you see fit. For example, you would like to set up projects that are not connected with each other. You can simply leave all those projects disconnected and to be symmetrical with one another. And so I have now created 4 independent projects. All of them will be available for implementation independently, and they are symmetrical on the canvas. And also I should mention how block projects work, because this is a little bit different. First of all, I recommend all block projects be permanent. So we have to disable the allow abandon project for all of them. And we can set up here the block only type of this category here. And block projects are available only for block leaders. And when I am the leader of the block, I can start implementing them one by one, just like normal projects. But if at any moment I stop being block leader, so basically at any moment that my block is dissolved, broken, those projects will be automatically disabled by the game, and that block project category will be removed from our list in the game. So you will lose any progress that you make. So it is very important for the player or AI to maintain their blog to keep those blog projects. For now, I'm going to remove this copy category and I'm going to stick with only those two projects. But I'm going to use them to show you how to set up starting projects for countries. So let me save the game here real quick. And so this is the starting projects editor. And here you will be able to see all your countries after you add them to your project, to your mod. And after selecting one of those countries, you can also select the category, subcategory, and tree of your desired projects and simply click on them to make them green. And that means that this project is now implemented for the selected country. You can also select multiple countries and set up the implemented projects in those countries simultaneously. And there is also this important button here, remove all starting projects. That is for completely purging the data from this editor. So I do not recommend to using it lightly. So yeah, this is our video about projects and starting projects. Thank you for watching and see you next time.